It's Thursday night, race night, and it is TT week. 3 laps of the Neokio crit course. It's quite a short one, but one I'll still struggle to keep up with people because it's a TT. But I'll give it my best. I'm going to get changed, jump on, and I'm going to have a little bit of time just to have a bit of a warm-up this week, which I don't normally get.
So I had about a 10-minute warm-up before this race. I know it's not a lot, but it is more than I normally get. I normally log on just before the countdown hits 0, so got a little bit of extra this week. Flat course, 3 laps of the crit course in Mercury, and I was kind of hoping because it was flat that I'd be able to stay in amongst the group for a bit longer than normal. I don't particularly enjoy TT races, and you can see already that I've lost the group. Before we've even hit the start point of the race, I'm putting out over 300 watts, and I am slowly catching them here, I think, as we hit this slight incline. But we've got people who are already 5, 4, 3 seconds ahead of me. And it doesn't really get much better throughout this race, to be honest. We settle in a minute. I can see D. Duncombe just ahead of me. 2 seconds ahead at the moment, with Craig just ahead of him. M. Prest, Seymour, Julia, Jay Bushell, C. Shand, and Kay Quinn ahead. I've kind of, as I normally do on these TT races, is just set my sights on the person in front and see if I can close that gap. And I do for a little while. I kind of catch up with D. Duncombe, and he just sort of stays within a couple of bike lengths of me for a little while here. So we're just over 2 minutes in here. I've caught, and I'm kind of sitting with D. Duncombe, but we've hit this very small 2% incline, which isn't a lot, and it doesn't last for very long, but it's enough for him to just keep that power up and overtake me. So I'm still doing 300 watts, trying my hardest to keep up and try and keep the gap down as much as I can, as he's slightly pulling away from me here. And we kind of crest the top of this hill with him in front. But at this point, I'm thinking, actually, I can still, we've got a slight downhill. I can hopefully use a bit of the weight advantage and push a bit harder if I can. Heart rate's up at 170. So working relatively hard, but obviously not wanting to completely blow it for the rest of the run. We're only 3 minutes in as it is, and part way through the first lap. But that said, we have 10.7 kilometres left to go. But you can see as we're coming over, I've had to just step off a little bit, and he's made a little bit of a gap ahead of me. Everybody else now is at least 10 seconds ahead of us. C. Shand is 12, Craig's 13, so everyone ahead is well gone by this point. I'm doing my best to stay within touching distance, just hanging on at that back if I can. As you can see, I've just had to stop again. I'm pushing out what I can, just in the attempt to keep up. We've hit this, again, it's a very slight incline up into the, I don't know, is it a castle at the top? I'm not sure what it is. But doing my best to stay with him as long as I possibly can. But by the time we've come round to the start-finish lap, at the end of the first lap, he's kind of got a 3-second lead over me now. And I'm thinking to myself, okay, can I go that hard again for another couple of laps? I'm hoping he's tiring in front of me. I've given up by this point of any hope of anybody ahead of me slowing down really enough for me to catch them at this point. But just trying to stay steady. Something that I'm not very good at in the TT races is just keeping the power constant. I'm not very good in any races, as I've mentioned many times before. My power graph gets very, very spiky, and it's the endurance stuff that I struggle with, just to keep that constant power down and keep it going for as long as possible. It's something that definitely improved when I did those workouts. You can see I've put out an effort there and then had to just breathe for a couple of seconds and step off the pedals. But that gap is slowly increasing. Well, it's 3 seconds at the moment, but you can see he's pulling away, and I'm just doing my best. Can I catch him? And we're about to hit that little incline now, and that's where the gap gets a little bit bigger again. And by the time we make the turn back into this little park area, the gap's up to 13 seconds. Kind of in my head now, I'm thinking, is there any hope of catching? And I think that hope's gone unless he has a complete blow up. But there's a few gaps out front that are close together. M. Preston and Andy Bullimore are very close together. D. Dixon and Kay Quinn. Craig and C. Shand, and there's not much time difference between the guys at the top of that list. I think there's people even further ahead than that. But yeah, some very close racing up front. It's just a shame that I can't push myself to be a part of it. End of the second lap then, and there's a 21-second gap now. Absolutely no chance of making that time up, I don't think, in the last lap. I am giving it what I can, that's for sure. My legs are hurting and I'm really feeling it. It's a very short race, and I thought I could put out as much power as I could for a short period of time. I just didn't have enough, and I'm missing the draft, and I'm just not. Even the very slight inclines I'm finding really, really difficult to put out enough watts to give me the watts per kilo to match others. But I keep pushing, and I keep pushing to the end as long as I possibly can as well. Jumping forward to the end of the race then, there's a 42-second gap by now. That's 20 seconds I've given up in each of the last 2 laps. Just don't have enough to close the gap or keep up in any way. Bit of a shame. It's only a 22-minute race by the time we get to the end. A short 16 kilometres, was it? It may even have been a bit less than that. So it's really frustrating, but I clearly missed the draft, and I think I get the draft effect is big, but also using that draft, it offsets possibly the weight disadvantage that I have. That I know on a pure flat course, watts is king really over watts per kilogram, but I think I still have a slight disadvantage from my weight as well, because just on those efforts of 300 watts being able to keep up, and I couldn't. Having said that, I'm going to contradict myself now, because as I come across the line, I actually was looking at the results here, and you'll see when they pop up that 230 watts it's the second lowest on the screen at the moment. So whilst my watts are normally proportionately higher, it's my watts per kilogram that are lower, the effect of it being a short race, everyone else has the ability to put out a shorter period of bigger power, and I don't seem to be able to do that. Must be something I need to work on. Jonesy winning it there with an 18-second gap over John Bushell. Chris Jupp in third. Great racing, guys, and a massive lead over myself. And there's a few close ones. There's West and C. Cole within a few seconds of each other there. C1 and C. Waring not too... C. Swan and C. Waring not too far away from each other. 5 seconds between M. Blundell and M. Prest. 3 seconds between Andy Bullymore and Julia. And D. Dixon and Kay Quinn really, really close as well. So some really, really close racing there. It's a shame I couldn't be part of it. Gonna have to think about that, because just going back to those watts, just not being able to up the watts when they're needed, when everyone else in that race has. And yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? Clearly something to work on. But as normal, I did enjoy it. I do enjoy racing. I do enjoy pushing myself. And as I've said before, I do push myself. Even when I get stuck at the back on my own, I still give what I can and what I have in my legs. So despite coming at the back, lower numbers, I'm still happy to get another race under my belt.
So that TT went exactly how I expected that TT to go. Not my favourite style of races, but that's probably because I'm not very good at them. But I'm pleased to get to the end, which is better than I did last week. It's another race under my belt. No technical hiccups or anything like that. And maybe one day I will get better at them. Who knows? But on to more exciting things. I mentioned a couple of weeks ago about the T2.5 World Tour, and we now have a schedule. So starting on the 2nd of October, over 14 races. Every race will be on a Sunday at different times. As you can see, we will race the 10 currently available worlds across Zwift, varying in different styles of races. We've got flat races, we've got sprint races, some of those up a hill, some hilly races. A couple of standout ones for me is the on the 20th of November doing the Epic KOM on the mountain route of Watopia. That's something that I remember. Just the Epic KOM is something that I've always enjoyed doing on Zwift back in the days before the Alp existed, and a lot of the other worlds. I just enjoyed that route. We do the Alp de Zwift on the 19th of February as our hilly route, and we finish up in Paris on the Champs-Élysées, 3 laps of that on the 2nd of April. Really looking forward to that. There's a couple of extra point races in there. I'll get onto those in a minute, but onto the points in a minute. But the mountain route is 1.5 points. The Watopia flat route, 5 laps, is over 50 kilometres. We don't normally do races of that length. That's 1.5 points. And the Alpe d'Huez Zwift on the 19th of February, as I mentioned, is 2 points. So, dates for your diaries. They will all be set up in the club on Zwift. So you'll be able to join them on there, and I'll put the links up as they're set up on the bottom of YouTube videos as well, so you can come along to those. Let's talk about points and how the rules work. So out of those 14 races, your best 8 races will count as your total points tally. They'll be awarded on the basis of slightly amended, very slightly from the Tour of Yorkshire that we did. So ACAT starting at 35 points. The winner gets 35 points, second gets 34, and down from there. BCAT starts at 30, CCAT 25 points, and DCAT 20. And the reason we've done that is if you're moving between categories, you take your points with you, specifically if you're stepping up a category. We have category limits, the same ones as we did for the Tour of Yorkshire, that work really, really well. BCAT upper limit is 4.32 watts per kilogram, CCAT 3.45, and DCAT 2.7. So if you do exceed the category limits in any race, except for sprint races, there'll be specific sprint races throughout the schedule that we do not apply this to, because you can put out an FTP effort above, put out an effort above your FTP level a lot easier on a sprint race. So we'll exclude those from this. But if you do go above the category limit, you'll earn yourself an upgrade flag. I think that's a badge of honor. I think that's brilliant. Shows that you're ready to step up to the next level. You can choose at that point to step up or remain in the same category. If you stay in the same category though, any subsequent races where you're above the category limits, you will earn half points. But if you do choose to step up, all your points are taken with you to the higher category. Just try to keep those fair. Those are exactly the same rules as we had in the Tour of Yorkshire that we did at the start of this year. But I'm really looking forward to it. 2nd of October, Ocean Lava Cliffside Loop. Nice 20-kilometre race to get us started. They're all on Sunday, and they're all kind of worked in and around our end of month banded special, which will still stay on our schedule. So yeah, get those dates in your diary and keep an eye out for the links in Facebook, Discord, in the description, on the companion app, all of those places where you can come along to those as well. It'd be good to maybe build up our BCAT a little bit more to give some more people to race against. So if you're interested in coming along and you're that sort of standard, come along and give it a go. Talking about coming along, giving it a go, our other group rides, we have a Tuesday ride where we're unbanded for an hour called our Tuesday Trundle. We race every Thursday night. Usually it's a sort of a chase race, but sometimes we once a month we do a TT race. Saturday morning we do a banded group ride for an hour, which is brilliant for beginners. And this week on Sunday we have our end of month banded special, where we do one of the bigger courses in Zwift, but as a group. So, you know, some of the slower people like myself can take advantage of the band and tick off some of the bigger routes. Not sure what the route will be on Sunday yet, but there is currently a poll up on Facebook to decide which route we'll do this week. Talking about Facebook, join the Facebook group, join the Discord channel there, and the club in the Zwift Companion app, because they're the best places to find all of our rides, although all the information is in the description below. I think I've covered everything off. That's probably enough waffling for me. As usual, a huge thank you to all the channel members just coming down the screen now. It means a massive thank you for having your support. It means a lot. If it's something you're interested in, head along to the link in the description below. You can become one of the channel members too. But that is the end of this video. I'm feeling I'm getting my mojo back. I've discussed the last couple of videos about sort of slowly getting back to it. This race from Thursday kind of made me realise I need to get back on it. I need to get that fitness level back up. You know, I've not lost that much in terms of watts output, but I need to kind of make that next step. And we've got the race, the World Tour coming up, which I think is going to pull me in a bit more as well. So yeah, looking forward to stepping it up on the bike even more than I'm doing at the moment, which will be good. But thank you very much for watching. If you have enjoyed it, do hit like and subscribe, and I will see you on the next one.